podcast officially.
Thanks,
Sorry to
Jason.
just abruptly end that, whatever we were talking about.
Hey, it happens.
But Haunted Historic Evansville, we've got Kevin Roach of Evansville Civic Theater.
Yep.
The director for the season.
Managing artistic director.
Artistic director. Okay. And you are... No, I'm just kidding. And Mrs. Scott Wambach.
Oh, usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, I figured he might like a little
I'm so
change there.
famous.
Right.
It's Mr. Rachel Wambach.
That's right.
Mr. Rachel Wambach, welcome. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't
what?
feel right. I don't like it. The infamous, more than famous. Is that right?
Sure.
Sure. Hey, if your house is on a commercial, you're famous,
It's
right?
on the Old National Bank
website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
How did that happen?
I've got friends.
Oh,
It's a good house. What can we
places.
say? And if you'd like to buy that house,
I know. I kind of like it.
yeah, there you go.
Although it was for sale in the commercial, like fake for sale.
Did you get people like going? Are you selling your house?
Like neighbors were like, "Oh my gosh, are you moving?" I didn't know.
That's
it's okay. I did a commercial for an energy company. That's all I'm allowed to say until it comes. Whatever, it's Vectron. And
there's only one.
Yeah, there's really only one. And it was like it hasn't aired yet. It's probably aired by now in October.
People are raving.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, yeah. But essentially, it's like, I always joked that I wanted to act in an infomercial where people do this, has this ever happened to you? Oh, no.
Yeah.
And it was, their whole theme is like, nice save. And so it's like, oh, no, forgot your wife's anniversary. And then I pull up this, what's supposed to be an app, but it like, the picture, at least during filming, was like a screenshot that said, welcome to dreamvacation.com. And then the next shot was, thank you for your purchase of your dream vacation. But like, they kind of were coaching me through it. They were like, oh, look really upset. Like, oh no, your wife is so disappointed in you. Oh, but you found something. Yeah, dream vacation. Yeah. And it's just like, so like, I forgot about it in my phone. So like every now and then I'd be like, a friend would be like, hey, can I look at something on your phone? I'm like, sure. And they'd be like, what did you book a vacation?
And
I'm like, no. I just forgot to delete the congratulations on your dream vacation.
I've seen you on a Vectron commercial before.
Oh,
You've done it before.
I just did one where like I have a gross gallon of milk fall out of a gross refrigerator, and it actually was gross spoiled milk that they kept adding junk to that smelled legit bad.
Your method acting.
Yeah. They're like, it's going to fall, and if it hits the ground, it might pop open, and then you're stuck.
Great.
And so,
No, I don't want this at all.
No, that sounds terrible. Why couldn't they just have regular milk?
Yeah.
because they
has
wanted
to
it
be
to
bad.
look gross, so they were like, let's add stuff to it, so they just started squirting stuff in it to make it, and then it got to a point where it was like they were like throwing dirt clods in it and stuff to make it look clumpy.
Oh, because the refrigerator went out. That's what it
supposed to be
was.
the
Okay,
refrigerator went out.
got it.
The idea,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And then it's a lot of me like, looking at the refrigerator guy going, yeah. And then looking at my rebate in the mail and going, sweet. Because they actually had me say the word sweet.
Cool.
You don't hear it, but you see me like doing that.
Nice.
That head shake, yeah.
And that's basically what this Haunted Historic tour is like, right?
It's gonna
what
be
it's all about.
It's gonna be like a telenova soap opera.
Yeah.
Right, just
That would
like
be
that.
awesome. I'll sign up right now for that. Maybe that's next year.
The ghosts start having big fights about affairs and she was in a
never know.
coma.
You don't know
She
until
was in
you're
a
on the
coma
tour.
for 3 years because it turned out Edward Clarence put her there. Dum-dum.
Hey, I'm just saying. That is ratings right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, that may be a springtime thing, but so I don't know. So is this the first year for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's brand new, and it's actually a fundraiser. So it's
Because you're a do-gooder, we get it.
I'm just that's just how I am.
No, yeah, that's how you guys roll. I get it.
So it benefits. In full disclosure, I just really love Halloween, and
Okay.
I really wanted a cool Halloween thing in our neighborhood.
Fair enough.
But it benefits Haynie's Corner Art District Association, Old Evansville Historic Association, and Civic Theater. So yeah, it's
I'm on board
we're
with all those.
Yeah, we're all splitting proceeds.
Those are reasonable things
Yeah, good
to raise money for.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you live in the neighborhood too. Well, you're you're in both.
I mean,
like
whatever serves my purposes. I'll claim one or the other, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
and I have
makes
been to
sense.
the Civic Theater, so it all works out.
Oh,
Cool.
it's all good things.
Just saw Young Frankenstein.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Did you come the last weekend?
Don't remember
Because I wasn't
if it
there
was
the
the
last
last
weekend.
weekend. I don't remember when it was. Don't question me on the details.
You were there. That's what matters.
I was there.
So-
I mean, I got the proof of purchase if you need it. I'll show it to you later.
I mean, I have people all the time come to me and they're like, "Oh, hey, I saw you at the show." That I'm like,
No, you didn't.
What you probably did, or you probably did, but I've probably shook 100 hands and was like, "Oh, thank you for coming." Thank you for
Right,
coming,"
right.
you know?
Yeah.
And I remember faces, but I don't remember like names. So like somebody will send me like a Facebook message, and the only pictures I can find is like of their dogs, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you
But
mean.
we get a lot of fun, nice people that come
That's
through.
cool. Yeah, it's a good time. And through you're using some of the actors for this tour, right?
Right. You can talk a little bit about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we're kind of gathering actors to play all these different ghosts and the tour guides, and we may be working in conjunction with some of the other theaters in town. If that's the case, then it will also kind of benefit them. But it's all under kind of our Civic Theater umbrella, as far as coordinating it and finding the actors to play not only the ghosts but also the tour guides, because the tour guides really do more talking than anything, honestly. Like the tour guides in and of themselves are characters, and we're still kind of figure out like how that fits into the theme of the ghost. Do we want the tour guides to be, and I'm still working on this at the time of this recording, still working on this.
Sure.
Do we want them to be from that time period, or do we want to go with some kind of uniform, like all the tour guides are from this specific time period? Do we want to mix it up? Do we want them to be time period at all? Do we want them just dress real fancy? So,
Right.
but it's still a performance regardless. And so, but yeah, it's. But the actors will be coming from kind of people in the community, and I think they're going to have a lot of fun with it. We did kind of a photo shoot with some people that stood in, and they may end up playing those parts. They may choose to, it's kind of theirs if they want it. But we did the photo shoot with some of the actors from Young Frankenstein, at least one of the actresses, one of the actors, and then our choreographer did some photos for Evansville Living. And
Yeah. And that issue that's a September-October issue,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I think that's out, or it's close to being out.
Close to being
At the
out,
time
I
of
think.
this alone.
I know that the particular actress was really excited that she was finally a cover girl. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you're a cover girl
Hey.
for being a spooky Victorian evil-looking lady.
Counts.
Yeah.
but-
A ghost.
Counts.
Yeah. For sure.
So, and this event will be in the end of October.
Yes, it's the last weekend of October. So that's October 27th and 28th. That's a Friday and a Saturday.
Right.
And there are actually 2 routes to the tour. So you can go, I hope you pick both, but people can purchase tickets to go on the Riverside Historic District tour. And then there's also Haynie's Corner Arts District tour. Both of them are about an hour long.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can pick. But the idea is that hopefully they'll want to do both.
Yeah.
And so
There's lots of great stories, great history on both. So yeah, it's we have people buying tickets for both. So
Yeah.
it's
Is there a limited amount of tickets
there
then?
is,
Okay.
yes, and so that's important. We get your tickets now if you can, because we have a lot of people who seem to be interested in it. So we don't know how it's the first year, so it's hard to say how ticket sales are going to go, but
Right.
we do have a limited number of tickets. And if you're thinking about going, it's a good idea to see, to get your time slot, because the tours leave every 20 minutes. So it's from, tours depart from 6 to 9. So you'll want to, coordinate what time period you want to go
Okay,
in, because there's
sure.
a limited number tickets for each time slot, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And these stories that they're telling, is that where the old historic Evansville comes in? Do these based on any kind of true tales of
Yes.
Evansville lore? That
Yes.
Kind of thing?
Yeah. Very. So what you're gonna get is kind of a combination. We have just historic characters, really awesome historic characters that lived in the area from Evansville's past. You have actual tales of hauntings And so we'll have, those are kind of sprinkled about the tour as well. And then just tragic stories. So not necessarily hauntings, but tragic stories, historic stories.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's, and one of the things we agreed that we have to talk about is, remember when we first announced this on Facebook, there were like comments like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pee my pants. And it's like, it's not, it's
I need
not
to wear
that,
my Depends.
Yeah, it's not that kind of haunted tour. It's not like Pennywise the Clown's going to jump out with a butcher knife and chase you down the street.
Yeah.
Like this is more kind of, think more like family friendly, spooky, like these were actual people that are, by way of actors appearing to you in ghostly form to tell their story. It's aside from like one or two fun moments, it's not a jump out and scare you kind of thing. Okay. So it's more for the history nerds that like the kind of spooky element with me, Yeah. So
it's a fun family thing to do. So many things. Well, there's a lot of cool family things to do on Halloween, but it's another option, and we think it's cool because what we like to call it is sort of like putting the cheese on the broccoli. It's like you're getting your history, which is good for you, like broccoli, and but it's fun. You're getting it in this really really fun, creative way. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and so this isn't just an elaborate way to trick people into really being scared, though. I mean, because like you set it up, like, oh, it's nice,
it's fine, it's family
fine,
friendly.
It's not. But then when you get there, it's like it really is.
I actually started laughing in my head. Like I was like, don't laugh earlier when we were talking about it, because I just kept picturing like in my mind going, yeah, that's how we get them there, and then all of a sudden like the gore cannon pops out,
just perfect,
shoots them with fake blood.
Yeah, it's totally not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Nope,
I mean, this is
it's winking at me for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean,
what I mean?
And we're even trying to like treat some of the characters respectfully, because like there's one of the characters, if I'm not mistaken, actually shot himself, and
correct.
You're not going to see anything, like he's not going to come out and like have like gore hanging from his head or anything like that. It's just you're going to find out that that's what happened to him and that's how he died, but it's not going to be a jump scare. It's not going to be it's the scary part is that you're going on this seemingly normal historic tour, and then all of a sudden this dim figure in lantern light comes out and begins talking to you, and they may be like predestined, like you see them as you're coming up, and they may just randomly just come up behind you and start telling you their story, and it's like, oh, I didn't see them there, and so
some spookiness,
yeah,
a little bit of spookiness, okay. And so these people they're doing the actors, it's donation of their time, right? Because they're raising money. They're not. This isn't like a money making scheme.
Correct.
No.
I just want to make I assume this.
Which in most of the actors in Evansville are used to with the different community theaters that are in town, and so
yeah. And there's, I mean, not to sidebar on that, but the acting community, it's pretty strong. It's surprising. Like if you're not really paying attention, it's like there's actually a lot of talented people around.
So talented. Yeah, it's amazing. I was blown away with Young Frankenstein. I was just like, this is amazing.
It is, and that show was such a huge undertaking too.
I bet.
Not to go on a tangent, but
no, please.
It was like we joked that show was cursed from day one, because like everything that could go wrong went wrong, and like if people paid attention to it, the lighting plot was actually really simple, simply because our lighting board kept like shutting down and erasing everything.
Wow.
And so we didn't know if that was going to happen. We didn't know if we were going to send it off, if we were going to have to just make it through the show with the lighting board we had, and we discovered that it was fine as long as we didn't get too complicated, because with like Wedding Singer, like in the nightclub, we had like lights flashing constantly, and every time we tried to do that for some of the dance numbers, the whole thing would just
oh man.
So I was like, we're just going to have to make it as simple as possible and hope that audiences still enjoy the show, and they really really did. So despite that,
people were like losing their minds laughing.
Oh well, we did have a jump scare in there in that show. We had the Frankenstein monster popping out in the front row, which is funny because we built that for a completely different scene. It didn't work like the way we had hoped.
Yeah.
The costumes were a little too intricate for the people to crawl through it, and so I was like, oh man, how are we gonna use this? Like we built this tunnel, and then I was like, jump scare. Yeah, let's have the one moment where, because the script says the monster bursts through the door. I was like, no, let's have it burst through like, what would affect me, like the storm doors to the basement, let that be it. And
that's
like,
interesting.
we had a lady actually in the front row yell obscenities very loudly at him, and then came up to me afterwards because I could hear her from the back.
Yeah.
And it was blank you really loud, and then came up and was like, I'm so sorry. Like, it just scared me so bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, no, you're fine. You don't have to apologize. We thought it was
That's perfect.
hilarious. But you won't get that. You're not going to have too much of that. But there are, I think, people that go on these tours, there's going to be a couple surprises for them. But it's not going to be anything that you couldn't bring like your kid to, in my opinion.
I will say, will say, on the Haynie's Corner Art District tour, there is a 60s prostitute.
Yep.
So, you
Shocking.
know, if you're... yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
It's
now
part of our
that's legit
heritage.
now.
It's our history.
It's how you know it's a real thing.
Well, and you have to embrace like
You're not gonna
the
gloss
good
over
with the bad. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what it was about. There was the FBI raided the house. I think it was like 1972, shut it down,
Yeah.
So that's pretty kind of, kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, because I was picturing we'd just be talking about stuff like from the 1800s or
Right.
whatever, but the 60s, unless it's 1860, and that's a whole.
Yeah, this is a little
that's a whole other
different.
prostitute. That's weird.
Well, I will say that the Riverside Historic District tour is mostly, like Civil War to like late 1800s to early 1900s. So it's all mostly around the same time period there.
Sure.
The Haynie's Corner has a pretty big range of time periods. So you get a little bit more variety there too.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
but it's like with the prostitute. I mean, it's like that's Evansville history. It's like even with
That's right.
the Civic Theater building, like we know that it was a silent movie house, and we know that at one point it was like a bar. And like I love the people that come in that are like the older patrons that are like, oh man, the things that happen in this building, when it was a bar.
yeah.
Or like one guy was like, and I don't have any facts to back this up, but like one guy was like, I remember when they showed adult movies in here, like
Yep.
18 and older. I'm like, oh really? Yeah, or like, if you go up into what used to be the projection room, it's my technical director's office, and he's left part of the room intact, but like what was the projection room became, when it was the bar, was like the bar owner's office. It's still got the original shag carpet in there, but like he built a very elaborate shower room up there that's like very well lit and had like lots of nice mirrors in there, and like it's like why would you put that in there? we're not gonna dig into that too much.
No questions. No
No.
questions.
But it's like still like if you go in there, it's storage, but you can still tell where everything was.
Ew,
And
weird.
it's like, okay, well, but that's, I still love learning about it because it's the history of the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everything is lollipops and rainbows. in
That's
history.
right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's
Especially on a ghost
some
tour,
stuff. Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff that
Because
happens.
we have some people dead people that did some not so great things, and that's the story we tell. Is, the story of their life, even if it's not so pleasant.
Right?
Yeah, that's odd because I thought bad stuff didn't start happening until a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly recent.
When the
but
millennials hit,
they ruin
it
everything.
really is most of their fault. Maybe they time traveled.
Maybe.
So this is the first one for here, but there's
Yes.
doesn't Newberg do?
Yes,
Okay.
Newberg's been doing one for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that when we've talked to lots of people about this, I think I had at least 3 different people say, "Oh man, we really we had thought about doing that." So I think this is kind of a long time coming for us.
You said ideas are nothing, suckers. It's
You
all
gotta
about action.
Execute. Yeah, action.
Right.
So, but yeah, like I feel like we were at a time where, all of these lovely people like Kevin,
Yeah.
and we've got a committee of about 10 people that are all volunteering and working to put this together. And I just think it's something that we needed down here. Tons of other cities have them.
Sure,
like
yeah.
we actually went to several other cities to research ghost tours. Since this idea has been, we have been thinking about it for, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like
Okay.
that. So like last year we went to, we checked out, there's a great ghost tour in Irvington, Indianapolis. That was really cool. I recommend checking it out sometime. Go to ours first.
Yeah.
I think
the best.
Owensboro might do.
Owensboro does one Theater Workshop of Owensboro kind of, well, at least the director there kind of coordinates it, and they do one in their cemetery where they actually take you in a hayride through the cemetery. So it's like they find people's headstones and then like find out their history and write a monologue. And so it's like as you come up, you know, they'll say, we're coming up on John Smith's grave here, and he's going to tell us about his life. You know. And so, and then some of them will, what I thought was neat, and we may still play with like, how can we tie some of these characters together, is I really like that one of the things they did, and maybe it's been you that told me this, but somebody said that like, they'll one of the ghosts, they'll try to find a couple people that had a connection. So they'll have one like at the beginning of the tour that'll be like, oh, you know, we'll call her like Ann Johnson, and she'll be like, well, when you see John Smith, you tell him I already paid him his money and I don't need that. And so inevitably somebody will say it, and then John Smith is like, oh, that Ann Thompson, she's always after that money, even though she never paid me. You know? And so it's kind of like a cool little
ghost community
tie-in
happening.
So I really like what they do and what they've done.
Yeah, I should also say that there's an Oak Hill Cemetery tour too.
Okay.
And I believe that they're raising money for the trees to be planted out there.
Okay.
So that's another really great cause that I want to give a shout out to them to check out, and the Willard Library Gray Lady Ghosts. I mean, yeah, that's like everybody should go check that out.
Stuff going on in October.
Yeah, all
like
kinds
that
of
kind of
spooky
thing.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah, which is great. And actually, the Evansville Living article that featured a lot of the Haunted Historic Evansville stuff it's like sort of like a resource. The feature of the September-October issue says like, hey, if you want to do all this spooky stuff, here's a list of all the different cool things that you can go to. So you can do them all, you know?
Is there anything that like really surprised you through this, that like some of the stories or something where you're like, oh my gosh?
Yeah. Well, okay. So to be totally honest, I'm kind of like 50-50 on ghosts. You know, I'm like, I kind of believe, but I'm kind of a skeptic, you know?
Right.
But there were some really interesting, eerie things that people that have had hauntings, would say the same things, you know?
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm trying to remember what some of those were. A lot of them were, they felt, like the ghost is a friendly presence, that they don't want it to leave. And if they moved from their home, they wanted it to come with them.
Really?
Oh, we've got a pet ghost now.
Yeah, like,
wow.
like it's coming with me.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I think some people believe that ghosts are associated with a person more so than a location. So that's kind of an interesting take on it too. A lot of things about like multiple people said that didn't have hauntings in their house down here in the Riverside Historic District said that when they come home, they feel like their house hugs them, which I've never heard that before, but I had seriously 3 different people say that. And I don't know where that came from.
It's very weird.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just been some really...
It's like a Stepford Wives thing.
Yeah,
when we come home, the house hugs us. Yes,
Well,
not to make fun of those people.
No, but it's man, I wish I felt like that every time I came home.
do
you
not
know?
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Like,
I do not get that.
I've worked in some creepy haunted buildings that, at least I believe, and they certainly didn't feel like I was being hugged. I wish I felt like I was getting a hug. Like, right, you know, I won't say where, but I used to do janitorial work, and I know they would prefer I not say where, but it was like you always felt being watched, and that was actually how I got really into listening to audiobooks, because when I would clean this place, I got tired of thinking I heard doors opening or thinking I heard whispering, and when I knew I was alone, and I believe in it, but I'm also the first person that'll be like, let's find the rational explanation. So I'd look for like, did somebody leave a radio on? Did the wind just catch the door?
Yeah.
You know, and some of it I was able to debunk. Like there was one door that would, if you left it open, would close on its own, just because if you stood in that part of the floor, there was a dip, and it was just enough to like offset the weight of the door. But like then I would hear like what blatantly sounded like, you know, a push bar door opening and closing in the back, and I'm like, I know I'm the only one in this building, and this was like a newer building too, and you know, and probably the creepiest experience I had was, you know, I came in, it was like when I first started directing shows, and I was doing it kind of freelance, and I came in after directing a show, the first show I directed, the Civic Wonder of the World, on contract, and I came in to this place, and I was about to clean, and I heard clear as a bell a kid's voice go, "I'm in here."
Woo.
And it freaked me out, not because I thought it was a ghost, but because I thought, oh man, some kid
There's
is
a
like,
kid.
Yeah.
I hid from mom and dad, and they're probably freaking out right now, wondering where they're at. So I turned on all the lights. I hadn't even turned the lights on yet. And I turned on all the lights and went to the building with a flashlight. And I was just like, okay, you need to come out so I can call your mom and dad and get them here to pick you up. I was going to be a hero. You know, they'd put me in the paper. It'd be great. And I could find nothing, like absolutely nothing. And it wasn't just like, it was clear. Like it sounded like a kid who's not 50 feet away from me going, I'm over here or I'm in here.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh, okay.
We actually had that. Okay, so the Scott Shimmick, the owner of Sost, and he's also
Other Scott. We call him Other Scott.
Other Scott. Oh yes, of course.
Of course.
Yes, there's Scott Wambach, number one.
The Scott.
Yes, the Scott Wambach. Scott Shimmick, Scott number two,
There you go.
he sat down with us and told us all kinds of crazy stuff that's happening over there at Sost and the beauty room that built. So that's actually 2 different stops over there. It has history associated with it, but also just like tons of ghost business happening. Like they said, there's like a 10-foot tall dark figure that walks through the ballroom.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of nope.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so that figure has been seen, I believe, by multiple people there. So next time you're at the ballroom in Sauce,
This is
like
not,
you can
not
like,
an advertisement for sauce.
Well, you're working
or
it.
maybe it is.
Or
You know,
maybe,
people
yeah,
can like
it's a different kind of
ooh,
crowd.
see if you can see it. Doesn't make me scared to go to Sauce. You know,
Oh gosh,
like
I hope it clears out some crowds so I can actually get in.
for real. I love it.
Well, you've got ghost stories galore about the old courthouse, and you know, like
Yeah.
I remember I used to do when there was a theater upstairs, TNT Theater, when I was a kid. I remember the director came in like really freaked out one night, and he was talking about how was leaving the night before, and he was of course the last person out, and he's like, he went downstairs and he said and he wasn't like a kidder, like he really was actually had no sense of humor whatsoever, and he was just like the door was like swinging open and closed to the outside. Like I had to like finally grab it and lock it. You know, I'm like, nope.
Creepy. So I work in the old courthouse.
Yeah, that's why I
and
brought it
I've
up.
heard so many different things. So many people have said things about that, and there was a murder in the courthouse
Downstairs,
in the 70s too. But I've never really seen anything or experienced anything there, and I don't really like go there at night.
The only time I got scared in that was when they used to have the Vulcan statue in the basement.
Oh, that was creepy.
I
Vulcan
didn't
Man.
know that it was in the basement. And
Vulcan.
I turned that corner and went, oh, hey
Yeah, there it is.
now, what is that?
Well, actually, so that's a stop on the not Vulcan Man, but
Yeah.
Major Albert Rosencrantz was the owner of Vulcan Plow Company, and he
Yeah.
was really super rad dude. So like he Benjamin Bossy himself said that no other man has contributed more to the city of Evansville than Major Albert Rosencrantz. Wow. And yeah, his house is down here on First Street, and the lovely, lovely people who own that house, and they're restoring it right now, the Bertinellis, they're trying to write about his story, his life, which is really cool. So they told us all about him, and he's just like the coolest dude. So you have to listen to that one for sure. But he was a Civil War prisoner. So he was a major, but then he was taken prisoner. And so he's going to tell about, you know, his time during the Civil War, and then all of his contributions to Evansville is like, it's amazing. So he's like nobody knows about him, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what's cool about this tour is, you know, no one's heard of this guy, or a
Right,
lot
yeah.
of people. I mean, if you really know like your history, you know, Vulcan Plow, you know, he ran Vulcan Plow.
I know just
You
because
know,
of the statue.
yeah, you
and
know,
then
Vulcan-
You see it at the museum now, right? So
Yeah,
it's like,
he's at the museum.
It's very cool.
And
then the shirts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Made in Evansville has the Vulcan Plow shirts. But yeah, it's kind
I
of connecting
have
those.
one of those shirts.
Sweet. Shout out to Made in Evansville,
Yeah.
Evansville Design Group. But yeah, so it's kind of connecting the dots, like who was behind Vulcan Plow Company, you know, and you can see who that man really was, and that's really cool about a lot of these people that are down here on First Street, getting to know their stories. There's so many of them were so philanthropic, and just incredible game changers in the city of Evansville,
Right.
and so we hope to highlight more of their story. So we hope to make this an annual thing, obviously. And then we hope to change it every year if possible, add some stories, figure out more things. So also, if anybody's listening to this and lives in the area, we encourage them to let us know, do you have a haunting in your house? Do you have a tragic story, really cool history? Like, do you want to highlight somebody? Like, because honestly, I've only been in the neighborhood almost 3 years, so I'm kind of a baby to Haynie's Corner Art District and Riverside Historic District. So I'm new. I feel like kind of an outsider in a way, even though Evansville's always been my home. I love Evansville. But yeah, we want those stories. We want to highlight it, make it even cooler and better, for sure.
Yeah.
It'd be cool for future things if like anybody ever caught any like ghost recordings that like the tour guides could play for them. Like, this recording was caught in this house. Like,
Right,
that would be kind of neat.
Oh, well, we have a photograph. Someone photographed
that's right.
a
We
ghost.
do. Yeah, we have that. So that would be cool. So.
Yep. Cool. So there was an earthquake. So this is, there was this earthquake here recently.
Yeah. As of this recording.
So, and a ghost appeared as what we think maybe a result of that earthquake, because they say it emits like a low, I can't remember the word for it, but a low frequency that humans can't hear. And so that could have disrupted a ghost. I'm not sure. So yeah, who knows? That's in the North Storms residence down near the Wright's home. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Earthquake
things.
ghost.
Earthquake. On a more fictional note, in the book, not the movie, Abraham Lincoln met his first vampire on the banks of the Evansville shoreline.
What?
Yeah, if you actually read Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the
No
first vampire he encounters
way.
is he stops on the banks of a city known as Evansville, Indiana.
Oh my gosh.
And that's where he meets his first vampire.
You have to add that for next year.
I know for sure. That's definitely an extra thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea. See,
Abe
that's
Lincoln is in.
And then,
an example.
and then we have werewolves coming in and doing battle.
Sweet.
Benjamin Bossy turns out he's a vampire and he does battle.
Who knew?
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
it
his
makes a lot of
actual
sense,
ghost
actually,
is going
when
to come
you-
back.
when
And
you say that.
Yeah.
See, that would be like the movie ending for this. It'd be like, we're doing these fun family ghost tours, but then, this guy came up and was talking to us. That's not somebody on the tour.
That was Benjamin.
It really was him. Or, they're like, oh man, that Benjamin Bossy is really great. And then the actor comes running up and is like, sorry guys, my car. I should do that.
Wait, who was that?
I'll cut this whole part out if you do that.
They just run up to the tour guide and they're like, oh, so sorry, I was not here for the tour. And then the tour guide, in all seriousness, is like, who did come talk to us?
The end of the tour, you do that every time. Have someone come up and say that, and then people are freaked out. It's
Ghost
the best.
tour next level.
That is the best.
Yes.
Yeah. My gosh. Okay, cool. Well, how do they get tickets?
Oh, you go to hauntedhistoricevansville.com. And I want to make a quick shout out to our title sponsor, the Dapper Pig. And so
Cool.
they're awesome.
Yeah.
They're also going to have their Dapper food truck down at First Presbyterian. So we have like home bases where everybody kind of comes. If you have tickets, I encourage you to come a little early so you can come hang out and have some cool Evansville trivia in one of our home bases. So we've got First Presbyterian is where you need to go for the Riverside Historic District tour. Then we've got Center of Hope Church is for the Haynie's Corner Art District tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. And get tickets in advance if you can.
Well, this is Evansville. It's not going to happen.
They always,
no.
Oh, he's
Come on,
right.
guys.
I mean, the show that we sold out of Young Frankenstein, it was like the day before. We only had like 40 tickets
Right.
sold. And I'm like, well, this is going to be a dead night. And then that night it's sold out.
Yeah.
I know. Well, that's
we
what,
do.
honestly, that's what I'm the most afraid of, because people are interested and then
Yeah.
they're going to come and not be able to go on the tour. And that would make me so sad. And I don't want people to be mad at us. So
Right.
please get your ticket.
Just laugh at them when they go away. Should have ordered first.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and you can cut this if you want. There's depending on you, but like we're also looking for like volunteers to kind of walk with the
Yes.
groups, like some trustworthy people that can
Yes.
kind of be in each group. That is kind of like the silent security guard. That if,
Right.
if something were to arise, they needed to run and get help. That person would be the one to do it, or whatever. So
Yeah.
we're still looking for some of those volunteers to do that.
Yep. Yeah. Takes a village to make some ghost tours.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that.
That's
Sure.
a pretty common phrase.
Yeah. It's a hashtag, I think, on Twitter.
the longest
Yeah.
hashtag ever.
It's pretty good. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming over and
Thank
talking
you
about
so
this. I
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. me
Thanks.
too. Thank you.
Good job, everybody.